Good that you're watching to the weekly Monday stream. Every Monday here on the React channel, we go live. We discuss the topics that we already touched on. In the Sunday video, go more in depth. Of course, those will also turn into videos that will then be going live on this React channel. So if you are new, please subscribe. That would really help me out. We're building this slowly. But now finally after... Wait, that's not the right video. Finally after... there's something weird going on. I want to share the video on the... as a post here on the main channel. But for some reason... it's showing the wrong video. Good stuff. Hey, Makkerman. Asil. Camisso, Saber Knight, saw you there already as well. So thanks everyone as always for joining. Got some fun topics to go over. That's really the wrong video. Oh, why? Hey, Black Knight, Redwood Venom. Good to see you guys as always. What has everyone been up to? I've finally booted up some other games after the whole Yote marathon. It felt like a marathon. Hey Thomas, one more AC Shadows. Yeah, as I said in the Sunday video, I will be attending a digital feedback event for an upcoming update. That's all I can say about it right now, but yeah, that will be exciting. So when I can talk about it, I will of course let you know here. But yeah, they are doing more. We don't know the roadmap for Shadows, but there is more stuff coming, which is exciting. Live now discussing the latest gaming news with you. We're just gonna share the link because it will not allow me to do it any other way. So we're just gonna do it like this. Hey Larry, good to see you as well. So yeah, that's for this week. Something exciting. I should get my hands on the ROG Xbox Li. As you might know, I already have the regular LIX. I bought that earlier this year. And I've been playing a lot on it. It's kind of... if you compare it to other devices, it's kind of heavy, but it's crazy. You can play Shadows on this, 60 FPS. And of course, with how Ubisoft's cross-save works, it's kind of wild. But yeah, we'll be excited to get my hands on that. We'll then likely discuss it here next week on the Monday stream and in the Sunday video, so that will be cool. Hey, Manmeat, good to see you. Kids, a corner afternoon. Yote is a cool game. Well, happy to hear that. Kenny, the Ancient Dev, morning, Jor. Hello, hello. Yeah, how I was actually, let's see if we can do that. Yeah, my PlayStation 5 is turning on, because I'm actually surprised. Let me know how far along you guys are with Yote if you're playing. But it's always interesting to look at the trophies, because if you look on the internet and on Reddit and stuff, it feels like people have already finished the game. On Twitter, you see people sharing they got the platinum trophy and stuff. So you're like, what the heck? People are blazing through the game. Also, in terms of content, it feels like it's faster than normal. I remember when Tsushima came out, we could be making videos on that game for weeks, and now it feels like it's already over. I mean, if there's something interesting going on, I will of course report it here. But I think it's always interesting to look at the trophies. Oh, that's the wrong one. We have to go here. So I am only at 68%. I have like 100 hours into the game. You can like see that if I go here. 138. I think it's a little less because the PlayStation doesn't always count right. Oh. But let's see. So yeah, I've been playing Black Flag now on PlayStation. Getting ready for the remake, of course. Hopefully we get a replay boss fight in Yote. Ooh. That would be awesome. Hey, Codex Seeker, Pepsi Cola, Paradox. Thanks everyone for joining. Hey, East Blue Drew, good to see you as well. I don't know about AC Jade, Sarantox. But when we learn more about it, I will let you know. That's a big question mark. But yeah, I think it's interesting that only 26% has finished the Kitsune. That's crazy. I'm not gonna scroll more down, but that is crazy, right? So yeah, more people are doing the Oni first, which makes sense with how it's located. But yeah, 2.4% has the platinum, but only 26% killed the Kitsune. And I mean, that's still a lot of people. But yeah, that also shows you a lot of people bought the game and are just taking their time. Taking their time. Bro, I saw the game, plat the game in the first 2 days of the game's release. Of course, some people have the game early. So, if it's like a creator, they might have gotten the game early, or like someone from the press. But I just started playing yesterday, kind of slow, but I like the game. I mean, you should just take your time. You should take your time. I'm just like impressed by how it feels that if you just look on the internet, it feels like everyone has already finished the game. But that's clearly not the case if you look at the trophies. Let's see. I'm almost close to the platinum. I love Yote. Nice. Yeah, so for me, I want to do at least one more video for Yote on the main channel this week. And it will... So, I've played a lot, but I'm not going after a lot of the trophies because you have to finish some parts. And because there are no... Like, I want this game to have a base replay again. Because I now leave a lot of the bases on the map. Because the moment you complete the bases, there will be a point, just like in Tsushima, where there are almost no enemies to fight. There are some locations where there are constantly enemies. But, yeah, so that is kind of stopping me from going after the platinum. Although I do think like, there are some things that you really have to focus on, like certain challenges that I can easily do. But I'm always in no rush to get the platinum. I will at one point do it, but I have nothing to prove. Loved Yote, got the platinum in 56 hours. Bring on the DLC hopefully soon. I'm not sure, Poetic. I think the DLC is going to be very interesting for Yote if they're going to do it. I don't think they are going to. I think they're going to move on to the next game. I would argue I would be fine with them moving on to the next game. Give us the Legends multiplayer and then move on. Because then we get the next game faster. Like they made this game in 4 years. So that means that before the end of this, like, yeah, before 2030, we could get another one. Another Sucker Punch game. Which would be crazy. Thanks for the support there, Alex. Avatar third person mode will sell millions of copies. I'm curious. I really think with the third person mode, people have to put the money where their mouth is. Because when that game was revealed and everyone's like, I'm not gonna play it, but if there's a third person mode, I will get it. Well, they better show up. They better freaking show up. I remember Ghost of Tsushima had replay duels, hoping we get New Game Plus next. Yeah. I said it, I think, once on a stream before. I'm not sure if it was on stream. But I said that I met Nate Fox, of course, the creative director. He was at an event in the Netherlands. And I had to ask him about New Game Plus. But he had a very PR answer ready. He was like, we're currently working on the Legends mode. They're gonna do it. Of course they're gonna do it. But I want a timeline. So far the updates have been pretty mad. Like they're only fixing stuff. I hope we get like a bigger update at one point. Where they add base replay. Transmog, I think it's wild. We need transmog. We did this because the armors are so very focused on one playstyle. If you don't like ranged, you will never run around as the Dragonflow armor, even though that is the most exciting armor, I would argue. Hey, it's Golden, good to see you. Manmeat, thanks also for your generous support here. Do you feel Shadows lacks story-wise and his Yote is predictable because interesting, and I mean in a good way? What's your take? Love your content. Let's read that again. Do you feel Shadows lack story-wise and Yote is predictable but interesting? I mean in a good way. What's your take? So, I want to do a video that I've seen other people do as well. A Yote versus Shadows. Because of course, it's interesting, right? To compare the two games. We've had them pretty close to each other. Both like Western studios making a game set in Japan. Obviously, the gameplay is similar. I would argue they're still quite different games. The gameplay loop is different. A lot of the things you do in Shadows, you work towards a different goal than in Yote. But obviously, they're kind of similar in multiple ways as well. So I want to compare the two. But to answer the question regarding the story, I think both games, and I don't want to spoil too much, and that's why I think it's always hard to talk about story, even that we're now reaching the 2 weeks after launch point with Yote. But I always like my plot twist in a story. I always want to be surprised, and there are things, and Yote has some of them, which is awesome. But I always, for both games, I was always waiting for that moment in like a bigger sense, and it never really happened for both of them. So that's, I think, I would argue both did not really, like, it did not have a God of War Ragnarok moment, if you know what I mean, right? I think that is what elevates a story from being enjoyable to being memorable and, oh my god. Of course, Naughty Dog games are great with that too. So, but I think both. I think the storytelling in Yote is much better than in Shadows, and it is because the presentation in Yote is better, because Shadows is just way bigger, and it has you do a lot of things that are not really moving the main narrative forward. So yeah, with the recent Assassin's Creed games, you really have a early section that is pretty well paced, and then a mid section where you go after the targets and do it in any order, and it means that they cannot advance the story, because if player 1 does this target first and player 2 does that target last, then you still have to make sense with both stories, and that's just not possible with how big Shadows is and how it is, how that game progresses. But then in the end, the final section is once again everyone following almost the same thread. So Yote has, I think, does a better job at that. And of course, going for less targets versus more, gives more screen time to each target. They have more personality. They're quite different. So I like that a lot too. And I think overall I enjoyed Yote's narrative more, I would say. And for Shadows, it was a lot like, there are so many cool parts about the Assassin's Creed franchise that they just did not touch on. It stays grounded. Like, why did we not go Isu? It's crazy to me. Any news on Elder Scrolls 6? We have no info on Elder Scrolls 6 yet, but thanks for joining there for the first time. Bethesda is interesting. They're slow. Okay, we have a topic. Like, I think in the perfect world, they would want Elder Scrolls 6 as a launch game for the next Xbox. So that would be end of 2027. It's not gonna make it, though, I think. They still have people working on Starfield. They don't want to let that go. And, of course, the majority of Bethesda Game Studios is working on Elder Scrolls. But, no. We might see it revealed next year. Or like a one more thing at the end of the Xbox show. But no, I think it's gonna be 2028 probably. I think Witcher 4 will launch before it. That's what I think. Hey Saber Knight, good to see you. The combat is better. I think that really depends on who you ask, and how you like the sort of stances and rock paper scissors gameplay. Do you think Yote will do better sales-wise than Tsushima? That's hard. So far, it seems like Tsushima is doing better. I think Yote might not reach the Tsushima levels. But it's hard because... Yeah, it's hard. Because Tsushima had a COVID era. And it had a PC launch, which was huge too. And what we're really seeing with the PC launches for these Sony games, first game doing really well, second game doing less great. Because for the first game it was, oh my god, I can play Horizon on PC. Second game, that novelty wears off. So We will see. I think overall Tsushima will end up selling more than Yotei. Horizon 3 online news before I crock, please, Grill. Yeah, I want. They're so quiet. Black Myth Wukong new patch. Yeah. But it's there's nothing really in that patch, right? It's just a lot of fixes. It is big though on PlayStation. I think you have to. I think you have to re-download basically the game. Shadows better stealth. Yotei better everything else, says Kenny. I think Shadows does some other things better than Yotei. We will talk about it. But I think that it feels always, talking about these games online, that I'm one of the only people that cares about it. I know I'm not alone. But there are just many people playing these new Assassin's Creed games coming in wanting a Black Flag or wanting a different type of game. But it's not that anymore. It's different. It is more, it has more RPG systems. And I like that. I like having a way, because you're playing this game for such a long time, to have a way to customize your playstyle. And think about that. And think of, oh, cool, now I'm going to do this camp and focus on this perk or thing that I just unlocked, or etc. And yeah, I think Shadows has way more freedom in how you can create your own playstyle, and way more impactful perks, I would argue, as well. So, compared to Yotei. And I overall like finding new weapons as well. So, of course, you level up in Shadows, and then, okay, that Naginata that I was using, it's not the best one anymore. Now I have a Kanabo, so you're kind of forced to switch. While in Yotei, if you found your favorite weapon, you can just focus on upgrading that. And yeah, there's obviously, it's depending on the enemy you're fighting, but I also don't really like that. So you're forcing me to constantly switch while I have found my favorite weapon. I don't know. It's and then you're basically always fighting the same enemies with the same weapon. For me, I don't like that. I like to have more freedom. Or maybe they should have an armor set where it's like, now the Kusarigama works against every enemy. Okay, awesome. Or now Weapon X, or every weapon works against every enemy. Because then it opens up the game way more. Right now they're really limiting you to how they want you to play the game. And I think in Shadows they give way more freedom in how you play the game. So, do we know when the new Shadows roadmap is going to be? No, but I can say that I'm going to participate in a Assassin's Creed Shadows update, a feedback session this week. So, then, yeah, when I can talk about that, I will let you know more. Plus, Yotei has clunky climbing. I don't know. I think the climbing, it has more clunky climbing for sure. I get used to it though. I think the shrines are fine, but they are better than the parkour challenges, the trails from Shadows, but both are not exciting at all. You really see how the developers are puzzling. Okay, we have these mechanics that are not really very skilled. You don't have to be very skilled for them to do it. They just look cool and they work. How can we have 8, 10 shrines, 10 trials or trails in Shadows? How can we make sure that they are a bit different? But yeah, so they created different environments, but you're still brain dead, just moving the stick forward and where's the climb spot? Okay, there it is. It's not exciting at all. So both games, I think Shadows in particular could have done way cooler stuff, because you have right now they're finally investing more in parkour. So I do hope that in the future they make it all a bit more exciting, because I think that is where they can win a lot. I just want the camps to be replayable, need more enemies to fight. Yeah. It's crazy, Mr. J, that I've been covering these games forever, it feels like. And always the enemy, I really don't get. And they had the solution in Tsushima. It's probably easier said than done, but I don't get it. Why we're constantly at the launch of the game forget all the things that were added. Of course, they added the loadouts, which is nice, but yeah, that it's still, the world is still empty. There are people who just want to play the game and they cannot. They have no new game plus, and the enemies are gone, apart from like 2 spots in the world where they constantly spawn. That's crazy to me. Will Hexay get delayed to 2026, you think, Sparf says? It's possible. It's totally possible. It's really possible. I hope not. I mean, the game has been in development for long enough. So, but we will see. Melissa, Yote is everything I wish Shadows was. 35 hours in, and I'm loving it. Nice. Good to hear. Glad everyone is enjoying it. Let's talk about topics. Because we have some things to record as well here. Let's see. Because I have a couple of topics planned. Let's do this one. Let's not do this one. What do we want to discuss? I'm gonna give you 3 options. We're gonna do them regardless, but you can like select the order. I wanted to do a topic on Assassin's Creed Mirage and on the new update, and basically the question, am I wrong? Because people were not happy with my lower your expectations comment. I knew this was gonna happen. But it's more complicated than that, and I want to explain. So that's topic number 1, so let me know if you want that for Mirage. We can do a poll, by the way. We can do a poll. I should probably switch that too. Let's see. If I can do this then. Yeah, now I can do a poll. What topic first? Mirage, next gen consoles, or Crimson Desert? Because there have been a lot of Crimson Desert IGN videos that I want to watch with everyone. And I should be able to do that on Twitch as well. Our moderator, Brock, is on a vacation. So I have to figure out how. I think it's just to do this, right? Yeah, there we go. Wait. I'm such a Twitch noob. Oh, there we go. I just do, okay. Okay, so on YouTube, Mirage and Crimson Desert are tied, but I think everyone is liking the topics because they're pretty, they're neck and neck, which is nice. Crimson Desert still looks too good to be true. I played the game, I think in combined, I played the game for 3.5 hours or something already. What's more interesting to you, Yor? I think all are interesting. We will get to them all. Nicely split, yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're gonna do Oh, Crimson Desert is taking over on Twitch now. Okay, Mirage is now winning. We're gonna do Mirage first. And then we're gonna go to Crimson Desert and the next-gen consoles. Or maybe do the next-gen consoles first and then Crimson Desert. Because I think that's, I want to hear your takes as well on the whole console situation. Because basically people were like, dude, it's way too fast. And I get it. I feel like that too. But it seems like there's a reason why we're getting the consoles faster. Okay, I want to do one thing before we go to the Mirage stuff. The console thing is here. Okay. Let's see. This is not the good one. Oh. Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, 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 beep. Okay. Let's talk about Mirage. People are angry at me. And is it rightfully so or not? Let's go. Okay. Assassin's Creed Mirage. Assassin's Creed Mirage is getting a big free update on November 18th. We got some new information that I want to go over. And also, am I too harsh? Because that is what people are saying. And I get it. I really thought, okay, this is the main video I did. I will leave a link to it in the pinned comment if you have not watched it yet. I really thought that this would happen. Here people say, because my title is lower your expectations. And that is what I felt. So, as you might know, I went to Ubisoft Bordeaux. And I got to see the Claws of Awaji DLC for Shadows. And then the day after that, we saw the Mirage content. And I kind of left. Maybe I went in with too high of an expectation. It's a DLC for Mirage. So you compare it to the Claws of Awaji, which adds quite some cool stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's out. I really enjoyed it. And it does some new things for Shadows that we've not seen before. And then to see the Mirage stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's more Mirage. Obviously, the big difference is the Mirage content is free. So here we have people say, I think the people who should lower their expectations is those expecting some grand huge DLC for some reason. It's free from a side studio. It's not really a side studio. It's still made by Bordeaux, but they got help from Ubisoft Paris. While Bordeaux is, of course, the main team. Like, it's the same creative director on Mirage that's making this content. The amount of stuff they are adding in the first place that is free, that is for free, is enough. Free content is pretty big. Lower your expectations is weird. It was a dead game, 2-year-old, and all of this new content is free. That's pretty awesome in my book. So, I get where everyone is coming from, and I want to kind of explain the situation a bit more. And also why I still kind of feel that way, but also why I totally think that. And I said it in the video as well. But of course, people focus on the headline. Like, I know for many people this will be more than enough. It's more base game Mirage. It's the same game you played 2 years ago in a new region that looks awesome. I'm gonna, like, let's just roll some gameplay. And yeah, it's the same game you played 2 years ago. And for me, what I like about DLCs is that developers come in and they are introducing things to make the gameplay feel fresh. Right now, I have a feeling I've already kind of played this, but that is because I really like some of the gameplay things they always do and the tweaks and stuff, and there's just not a lot here. It's mostly a new region that will be really cool to explore. The story that I don't know a lot about, luckily, that I hopefully is cool. I think those two things will likely be the best part about this. But they have a new enemy faction, but they look the same as the bandits. They now ambush you or something. So I'm just expecting that it will just be fine. We will have played this and we were like, oh, that was more Mirage. That was cool. Again, it's free. Maybe we should not ask for more. But I was kind of like, I want a bit more from this. Another thing is that because there is a lot of cool stuff that they're adding to the base game of Mirage. I'm now mostly talking about the extra content. So we have 6 hours of new content. It will be in this new Alhula region. It will be almost the same size as the base game map, which is crazy. A big difference is though that the base game map, 80% was Baghdad, 20% was the wilderness. In this content, it will be different. It will be 50-50. So 50% desert-like wilderness, 50% urban environments. Another thing also here with the gameplay, we had, and that is of course something that Mirage, yeah, it sucks for them, but we just have had shadows, and they introduced very cool stealth mechanics and stuff like that. To then go back to Mirage feels kind of like a step back. So that is, I think, another thing that for me is kind of like holding it back. So that's why I was hoping maybe they're introducing some of the shadows mechanics, but that was probably, I thought I was expecting too much in that regard. But yeah, basically there are some cool things. So the gameplay. Okay, so what the event was like was, okay, we are here. This is the content. Yeah, you saw the teaser that you've probably seen as well, right? Basim and Dervis, they go to this new area. That is also what you will see the first time you enter the new area. And then, yeah, we heard some information. But what happens is that, okay, you go to the event. After that, you make your video based on everything you learned. I was lucky enough to interview one of the developers as well, so I got some extra info. I always love that. And then I got this gameplay, so that you're seeing right here. And I really think if you showed this to anyone, they would be like, yeah, this is more Mirage, right? It doesn't look like particularly exciting DLC things or anything. Because we're still doing the same things. I'm not seeing any new things. We will see a new thing here. They added the pole vault now to the map. Okay, cool. So this is what I got, this DLC. One thing that, like, the playing the music is kind of cool. I don't think there's like anything happening here. It's just like a nice role playing. Another thing is the let's see. Yeah, the flying papers are back. And now more like Black Flag, because they are not shanties but actual music sheets that you can then play on the instrument. I'm over this type of gameplay. I don't want to chase papers again, but hey, it's now here too. Obviously, it was in Valhalla as well, and that those are the mechanics that they're using. But so I got this gameplay, and I got to see the dev diary. And also here, they talk a lot about the world, which clearly seems to be the focus. The rumor is, of course, that Saudi Arabia, they are mostly funding this content. And it should be more like a nice, like, hey, yo, check this region. It's very cool. Maybe come visit it at some point. Of course, we have the codex entries as well to learn more about it. I think it's cool that they highlight a region that we just don't see a lot of in the game. And obviously, this side... like, these landmarks are really, really awesome. But also here, they're kind of vague about things. It's like, okay, we have the Animus sequence, which is a really cool replayable... So basically all the missions in the game, or not all, a lot of the missions, main missions, will be replayable. And the contracts as well. So that's awesome. But it's all very, very high level. And then they have this. The reveal stream. This is the Valley of Memory reveal stream. I did not get to see this beforehand. And this includes so much new stuff. I already... that was not the intent, but this is the new enemy type. So there's one new enemy type. It's a bandit with a poison sword. So, that will be... but here we have the animals again. There are no new animals, but... Yeah, they will of course be... It will be nice to fight animals again after having not fought them in Shadows. But yeah, so... This really does a great job at highlighting everything that is in the game, and it's very specific. So what we, for example, heard, because the biggest addition that they just did not talk about at the event, that I did not include in the video, I thought that it was going to be similar to what they did in Shadows. But yeah, they're basically adding a manual jump for the first time since Unity. So you can press X on the controller or A on Xbox and jump anywhere you want. And this, of course, opens up a lot of new parkour routes. Let's see if they have already showcased it here. Did I? Where is it? Yeah, the control scheme's also really cool. Oh, here it is. The free jump. So yeah, they're adding the free jump. Again, they did not talk about this during the event at all. Also, the back and side ejects, they were saying, yeah, we're adding back and side ejects. Now, like, they are already in the game. But what they mean is that you can now, and that's pretty cool. So right now, and that's what they did in the modern games, they have a fail safe in place. So if you reach a certain point, like I think in Shadows it's like 10 meters, and then would jump down, you would die. So that's why you cannot jump down from 10 meters or higher. I'm not sure if it's like the 10 meters, but something like that. So they created this failsafe. While in previous games, like older games, you could just jump down and die. Or if you were a skilled player, do the roll and then continue. And in Mirage, they're now adding that. So with this feature, you can be like, okay, I think I'm gonna make... normally you would like take fall damage, basically. So not always die, but take fall damage. But now... you can still do it and do the roll, and it like enables, it gives you way more freedom basically in how you can move through the city, which is very, very cool. But again, they did not touch on this at all during the event, which I think is a huge thing. So that would have totally been that would have totally for me be more eye-opening, being like, okay, this is actually pretty big that they're adding this. So they're also showcasing the enemy sequences that I was not able to see. Like, I did see it during the event, but the gameplay they're sharing here, I could not get it. Or I did not have it. Also here, this is how it looks. So basically you have one of the missions, Jailbreak, one of the early main missions, of course. And then you have challenges. And you can replay them and focus on the challenge. Don't take any damage, don't use Eagle Vision, don't use any health reveals. Complete all challenges less than 7 minutes 30. Really, really fun challenges. I think it will be really fun to stream this. And they can also get rewards. And we now see the rewards here too. Again, this is all like kind of information and things that I was missing from the initial video. That I think is very cool that they're adding it. So, basically it's two things. I, for one, am still of the mind that I wished that there were some interesting twists to the Mirage gameplay. Especially because Mirage was already a game that was not doing a lot of new things. It was giving us what we wanted for a long time after having the 3 big RPGs where parkour and basically the more old school Assassin's Creed gameplay was really in the background. So for them to have a second chance at this, that's what it felt like for me going into it, and not really doing a lot with it in terms of the new area. I was like, okay, I wished they would have surprised me with some sort of gameplay thing, because also the tools, the tools they have, the upgrade for that, they're not impactful at all, and you have to choose. So, do you really want this new tool feature or this new tool upgrade that is not that impactful versus one you were already using? Again, for a free content update, it's awesome that they're doing this. I think it will be really fun. But I also think that we will put this down and be like, yeah, that was more Mirage, that was fine. And yeah, for many people that's amazing. For people that, wish they... I hear myself talking, I'm like, what do I want? I want to just share how I felt leaving that event, and I want to be honest. And I was not like, oh, I cannot wait for November 18th. I was like, I'm excited to stream the animus sequences. I'm excited to like play through the content, but I'm not like I can't wait or anything. That's basically a difference. And with the Claws of Watch, I was like, let's go. Bow staff is awesome. That's a whole new way to play. Wow, this boss fight is awesome. Whoa, they're doing right. That was kind of the differentiating factor. But hey, that's what I wanted to say. Oh, we had some extra info as well that I forgot. Let's look at that too. So gameranx shared some extra info. Severus, of course, as always, with the nice rundown. New faction known as robbers are attracted to the area by wealth and valuables. Okay. Stolen goods are directly tied to the true nature and motives of the faction. Okay, these are all spoilers. We're not gonna go over them. Okay, goodbye. I'm reading all the groundbreaking. Why did it take this long? I think they just got the green light from Saudi Arabia earlier this year or end of last year, so that's why they started working on it. Now go back. You can read the tweet yourself. I can share the tweet. Glad the paper chasing wasn't forced. Yeah, I guess it's not forced. I mean, it's free, not complaining. Again, totally get that. To be fair, class really didn't add a lot. Like a couple of things, but not that much. Kind of like this free DLC. I don't agree with that. I think it really changed the gameplay up in some interesting ways. In terms of the dual protagonist, like that opening mission was pretty cool. How you could like engage some of the boss fights. It was for Shadows. It was changing things up. And that's why this Mirage content feels more of the same. But again, I'm happy. I'm excited for the sequence replay. I might do a video after all the update is done. After the update is done, and be like, I was wrong. I was wrong. We will see. Should we expect something on the level of the crossovers? Potentially, yeah. But yeah, I think the crossover is basically kind of what you expect, and yeah, and that is I think the difference. If you call it a DLC, you're giving it too much credit, but if you call it like a crossover update, it's probably gonna be similar compared to that. Yo, Circana posted some stats on Yote. Interesting. Waparapadoo-doo-doo-doo. Let's take a look. Circana player engagement tracker top 15 by total weekly active users, not concurrent. Yoste debuts at 12. Mega Bonk reaches second on Steam. Hogwarts Legacy jumps from 71 to 10 on Xbox. Skate, that's crazy. This feels it feels low. It feels low. Freaking Marvel Rivals. Borderlands 4, that's crazy. That game is a month old. More people were playing that than Yote. Wow. But yeah, this of course free to play. Yeah, huge. It's not too good. I would argue. But what's funny is that turns out Yote ranked 12th during its debut with 4.4% of the active PlayStation players that week giving it a go. Ghost of Tsushima also ranked 12th in its launch week back in 2020 with 4.4% of the players engaging. That is so funny that it's the exact same. Let me see. Shadows getting rid of Templars was such a... I mean, there are still Templars in Shadows, Melissa. What was the Assassin's Creed? Circana Weekly. Surcana. Do we have that information? No, I don't think he shares the weekly numbers for shadows. Weekly numbers, Surcana. No. Yeah, totally wait for New Game Plus, I think, J Ultimate. I've been playing through Yote a second time as well on a different save, and it really loses some of the magic, because I think the magic for Yote is the the constantly being surprised by the open world activities, and how the game is designed is a lot of it is handcrafted, but a lot of it also happens in the same location. So it will feel very samey. So then without the New Game Plus wrinkle to it, I actually think with hopefully some new things to earn, like they did in Tsushima, that you can better hold off. Oh, he did, but you have to scroll very down. Oh, you really went like on his page to April. That's crazy to me. Can I not like just do this? Met Piscatella. The search functions for any of the social media page are always really bad. But yeah, okay. But yeah, like going to, oh, this is so far down. But he doesn't blue sky that much. I'm not sure what the how you say that. But yeah, number 10 of course doesn't say a lot. We have to go to number 10, of course, doesn't say a lot, because it also depends on how popular the other games are. But yeah, the 4.4% is interesting. We're now in July. What the heck? I'm getting hungry. Oh, I only checked media. I go through media. That's smart. My eyes. Yeah, I'm gonna do it off cam. You still see the light reflecting. It's a looter shooter, very replayable. Yeah, still like it be. Yeah, I know it's very replayable, but still beating out Yote in his launch week. That's crazy to me. But yeah, EA with Skate, that's crazy as well. Oh, here. Yeah, I see it. I'm gonna copy this page so I can use it at one point. Papadoo, papadoo, papadoo. There we go. We are here. Assassin's Creed Shadows debuts at 10 in the US weekly active players on both Xbox and WWE. Is so popular. It's of course the US. But it's like all the same games. But yeah, it's number 10 and not 12. But yeah, it would have been nice to have the 4.4% as well. Because that is what 4.4% of the PlayStation 5 users playing Ghost of Yote. Think about that for a moment. we are like, we as our fans of the PlayStation games are such a small part of the overall people playing on PlayStation. I mean, it has always been the case, but it does feel like a God of War, a Spider-Man, or a Yote is that moment for the PlayStation, right? Where that's one of those games you cannot miss. And then for only 4.4% to play the game in the launch week, 4.4%, that's kind of crazy. But it's still a lot of people. Still. Is that bad for... I don't know. It feels bad. Cookie's nice. Hey, Severus, good to see you. I think over 1 million, yeah. Feels bad. It will sell around 3 million. Hey, Matt Goes Rogue. Sorry, I hope you are still here. Do you think Valley of Memory will be the last AC DLC for PS4? Yes. Yeah, I think so. What's up, Yor? Just wondering, was there a new weapon type in this DLC or not? No. Still the sword and dagger for Mirage. I watch yours YouTube videos on AC gameplay. Well, Plenty Poti. I butchered that name. Plenipote. I still have a lot of Assassin's Creed content. And we stream every Thursday. So, what was the percentage for Ragnarok? Yeah, I want to see. We can ask. We're gonna go to Matt. I want to have some comparisons. I want to know more info. Sometimes he responds. So let's hope he does. Blue Sky is broken for me. Okay, we're gonna ask him a question. Then we're gonna move on to the Crimson Desert topic. Turns out Ghost of Yote ranked 12 during the debut with 4.4% of the active PlayStation players giving it a go. Like, it's also of the active players that week. So, I mean, there are people that don't turn on the PlayStation. I'm not sure how I can spin that, but that's also like an interesting wrinkle to it. Okay. Thanks for the info. Do you know what the percentage was for Assassin's Creed Shadows? I saw it ranked and in the list a week after launch. To other PlayStation exclusives. 4.4% seems low. Maybe with some... Seems low. Would be really nice to get some extra perspective. Thanks. Do you know what the percentage was for Assassin's Creed Shadows? I saw it ranked 10th in the list a week after launch. We're gonna do it like this. And how does it compare to other PlayStation exclusives? People voice seems low. Would be really nice to get some extra perspective. Thanks. Let's see what he does. Let's see. Bleep. What is Crimson Desert? Well, thanks for asking. Thanks for asking. Yote is selling around 5 million in a few months, same as Expedition 33 did. It seems low for such a big game. I mean, to be fair, Expedition 33 is on PC as well. Like, PC is huge for these types of games. But I agree. It's... I mean, it makes the chase for live service even crazier, because if you look at the skate, for example, doing insane, and them selling a Dead Space skin for $30, which is half the price of freaking Yote. Recent Crimson Desert gameplay is crazy. I'm curious. I think Crimson Desert is gonna sell more than Yote. At least in the first weeks. Okay. Let's go. Let me, by the way, know if you hear this. Or should I turn it up a bit?
It would be easy to take a quick look at Crimson Desert and assume it's another fantasy action game where you hack and slash your way through enemies with repeated presses of the attack button. And if...
Let me know if the audio is good before I... Because there's a raptor in this. Audio's good? Okay. Turn it up a little bit, okay. Blub, blub, blub. Blub, blub, blub. Okay. A little bit. Turn it up a little. Yeah, I think I did it. This better?
It would be easy to take a...
I think it's good. I think it's good. Okay. Let's go. One of my most anticipated games right now is Crimson Desert. I was already lucky enough to play it a few times, most recently at Gamescom. But now they have an IGN first going on where they're sharing new gameplay. And one of the new things they shared is the fact that you can ride a freaking raptor. And if you look at my channel name, you know why that's exciting. So, let's look at this new IGN gameplay. And I will share some thoughts and stuff from my play sessions as well. I think I played in total 2.5 hours. Maybe already, maybe more. 3 hours in total. So let's see.
Quick look at Crimson Desert and assume it's another...
What a mech, okay.
Easy to take a quick look at Crimson Desert and assume it's another fantasy action game where you hack and slash your way through enemies with repeated presses of the attack button. And if you equip your protagonist, Cliff, with a sword, you can certainly do that. But tap 2 of your controller's face buttons together and he'll lunge, thrusting the blade directly forward. If you then press both the light and heavy attack buttons at the same time, he'll transition into a powerful, magic-infused overhead slam, bringing his sword down in an arc of dizzying particle effects.
So, the thing is with this game, first we only saw the sword and shield, but they actually have a lot of other weapon types as well, and you can like pick them up, but you can also just use them. So, in my session I had to pick them up and then I could just switch between them. It seems like you always have your sword and shield, and the other weapons are just ones you find. I am curious if you can also find a better like spear or something, or that all the heavy weapons are only the ones you can find on the ground. But they all have their own moveset. I actually discussed that a bit in one of the main videos I did. But yeah, there's a lot of depth here. And one of the things you saw as well is the element wheel. If we quickly go here. So this is new. In a previous session, they're constantly... So I've played it now at TwitchCon, which was like earlier this year, and then I played the Gamescom demo, and they already made some tweaks to how the game works in terms of how you select your powers, because there's so much in this game. If you've been paying attention, you know this, but they're still figuring out the best way to use the controller, because there are not enough buttons on the controller for all the things this game is doing. So expect a lot of these wheels where you switch. And yeah, this is of course an element that you can use that has different powers. So let's continue with the video.
everything in your combat arsenal. Transition from aiming a bow into a dodge roll, and you'll trigger a brief window of medieval Matrix slow motion, perfect for scoring a headshot. Cast a spell at the apex of a jump, and you'll launch yourself into the air, riding the energy of the magic's blast. And, in perhaps the most entertaining example, hold 2 face buttons in conjunction with shifting the direction of the left analog stick to unleash a variety of increasingly amusing wrestling moves, from simple grapples to human hammer throws.
Yeah, so you do them with, I think, triangle and circle. If you press those buttons, you like grab an enemy or can like drop them on the floor. It's pretty crazy, but again, there's so much to learn, and you clearly know that the person that's playing here has played a lot before, because trust me, the moment you pick up the controller, and that's why a lot of the gameplay from people that are trying the game out for the first time doesn't look that great, is because there are a lot of controls to learn, there are a lot of enemies coming at you. It really has a steep learning curve, it seems, but once you get the hang of it, there's gonna be a lot, and it's gonna really create a lot of cool, oh my god, I didn't know that was possible moments.
For this month's IGN First, we spoke to the design team at Crimson Desert developer Pearl Abyss to learn how they crafted this deep, multi-layered combat system. The very first thing they said was both surprising and helped contextualize everything. One of the key inspirations for Crimson Desert's combat was retro arcade games like Samurai Showdown, Final Fight, and King of Fighters. Suddenly, all those multi-button combos and link moves make much more sense. But those fighting game combos are not necessarily the thing that Pearl Abyss intended to replicate. The team cites the strong sense of impact that comes with each blow, both inflicted and received, as a key aspect they wanted to capture. That's clear not just in the visuals, but in the crunchy audio.
And another thing, why it's so, yeah, they looked at these arcade games. Another thing you really notice when in these battles, and it took me out of the experience a bit, but these enemies are taunting you as well, and they're constantly saying, "Oh, I thought you were better than this," as if you are in a wrestling ring, instead of like a fighting on the battlefield till the death. So there are some weird elements like that as well, but now that I hear that they took inspiration from those games, it makes more sense. But yeah, overall, if you were still worried that this was gonna be a Souls-like, no, it's not. It's an action game through and through.
The sound design team directly references Capcom as an inspiration, but across the 10 different boss battles they've fought so far, plus plenty more skirmishes in the open world, it's clear that there's more to it than that. Fighting game characters have access to many, many different moves that can be chained together to create unique approaches and strategies. Open world games, on the other hand, typically have a much more restrained moveset, a dodge, an attack, and a counter, for instance. But despite being a fantasy open world game itself, Crimson Desert's long list of combat moves seems to be gunning for the breadth of options that fighting games thrive on. Cliffs.
Yeah, so one thing you saw here is you can like summon an artillery blast on an enemy.
Crimson Desert's long list.
So there are like, you just say, oh, there I want a sort of meteor strike of arrows on an enemy. So you can really chain those moves together. It's going to be a lot of fun.
The ability tree means there's a multitude of ways to approach any fight. It's not just ranged versus melee, but the more minute choices within those options.
But like, and you already see it here. I think that is gonna, and I'm not sure how they're gonna change that, but I hope there are some settings. But look at the particle effects that are going on a battlefield with many characters. It's like electricity. Oh, and now we have this enemy. We have a fire attack. Like there's so many. It's hard to read the enemy basically, even in 1v1 fights, because all these attacks are so glowing and there's like particles everywhere. So it's kind of hard to... I think the game might be going a bit too crazy in those scenarios.
Into your sword fight, channel lightning down your blade. Use whistling arrows to summon artillery strikes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's an arrow you shoot and then boom, boom, boom. So that's a very cool combo.
The important takeaway here
okay, this is the first time we're seeing the mechs actually as enemies.
Is that Pearl Abyss refuses to provide any real strict definition for Crimson Desert's combat system. Unlike something like Batman Arkham, there's no rhythm or pattern to follow. The combat team told me that they had no interest in creating a game where you have to respond to on-screen prompts by pressing specific buttons, the kind of system we've seen in games like Mad Max, Shadow of Mordor, and both Marvel's Avengers and Spider-Man games. Instead, the studio aims to fulfill a player's fantasies by allowing them to do whatever they want in any situation. That arguably makes Crimson Desert's approach to battle a bit loose, and for some, the distinct lack of rules or rhythm may be frustrating. There are no hard counters for particular enemies, for instance, nor any kind of strict rock-paper-scissors relationships between different attack or defense types. A particular weapon may be stronger against shielded enemies, for instance, but there's no requirement for you to use it. The same applies to bosses. While they certainly have attack patterns that can be memorized and weaknesses that can be exploited, Polar Abyss has no interest in demanding you pay attention to that. The team believes that any method of attack should be valid. Well, within reason. You can't swing a 500-pound monster by its ankles, of course.
Yeah, that is interesting that they say that, because the first play session, so at TwitchCon, what I played was basically the boss fights, and you did see that, okay, some attacks that you probably learn around that point in the game were more, were stronger against that enemy, but then later, those moves did not work against that, like a different boss you fight later on. So there are totally some attacks, in my experience, that work better, but you really have to figure those out. And look, I think this game is gonna be, it can be frustrating in the sense that there's not a right way to play, but I do think it can create really fun conversations where it's like, how did you beat this boss? Yeah, I did this and this. Whoa, are you able to do that? So it creates a lot of freedom, but it also, and I think that's what, like two sides to the coin. On one hand, it's super ambitious. They're trying so many things, but there are also way more things that can go wrong. And I think that will be very fascinating with how this game shakes out if they can find the right balance.
This, there if you want it, but no worries if you don't approach, extends out into the world itself. The Black Space engine that powers Crimson Desert is able to simulate elemental reactions.
Black Space.
So water can either freeze or conduct electricity when struck by the correct spell, while wood will burn and smolder when set alight. The combat team cites the modern Legend of Zelda games as inspiration for this, in which there's constant interaction between you and the environment. But this is very much a system that you can master and exploit if you choose to, rather than a core component of combat. For instance, there won't be a boss battle where you have to freeze water to hold your foe in place, or coax them into a metal grid you can then electrify with a lightning spell. Cliff is not a wizard, and so his spells come courtesy of a bracelet that grants him simple mastery over fire, ice and lightning. But new weapons and gear help expand his ability set further than the unlocks available on your skill tree. There's a spear, for instance, which opens up like a propeller and blasts enemies with bursts of wind like a deadly Airzuka, and a sword that summons an angry genie-like creature.
Awesome. And you likely get that from the boss. Yeah, they really seem to give you... So, for example, one of the early bosses they showed was the Stag Lord, and defeating that boss gives you the sword and the shield from that enemy. So, I love that always, when, yeah, fighting a boss gives you one of their powers or their gear. And, yeah, now that we see the Genie attack, that's obviously the reward from the boss we just killed.
The wilder these options become. Cliff is able to ride a number of mounts, which in the early hours are simple horses with no remarkable talents. But head into the territory held by the Black Bears faction, and you'll be able to saddle up on a which can swipe at foes with sharpened claws.
Oh my god, it has attacks.
Effectively thinning out herds of barbarians. Fast forward a few hours.
Look at that shield, by the way. Shield looks awesome.
And things become stranger still. Your simple horse could be traded for a raptor. Yes,
yeah,
on the back of a literal dinosaur.
Woo!
If you prefer your scaly mounts to fly and breathe fire, then Crimson Desert also has that covered too. Fantasy's most important creature is present and correct here, and in the game's later hours you'll be able to command Tristar the Dragon, who will swoop in at your beck and call.
What
but
the heck?
Not the wildest option. Dispelling any notion that this is a typical high fantasy video game, in Crimson Desert, you can pilot a mech. Yes, really. The Dwarven Engineered Battle Robot is a late-game treat that asks the question, what if a Bioshock Big Daddy and a Titanfall mech had a baby?
That is
Equipped with
crazy.
thrusters, machine guns, multi-target lock homing rockets, and a wide-radius EMP blast, your sword and board-wielding enemies don't stand a chance.
That is crazy, but... And I feel that for this game, it's like, yeah, sure, if you want to use that, you will steamroll all the content. But yeah, you will make it less fun for yourself. But late game unlock is nice. It will be sick though to get this ASAP.
Sword and board wielding enemies don't stand a chance. fire-breathing dragons and machine gun toting mechs could absolutely destroy Crimson.
Look at the draw distance, by the way. The world feels huge. And I said it in my 2026 video as well, for if you have not watched it yet, or if you're watching live here. This game, it comes out March 19th. And it launches close to other big games. But you're gonna be lost in this game till GTA 6, if GTA still comes out at the end of May. Like, there's gonna be so much content in this game. Look at the scope here. So this is probably the desert land where we saw the raptor. Like a huge city there. Really, really impressive. And we, of course, also have stuff in the sky as well. Oh.
Destroy Crimson Desert's balance, but they've been carefully plotted on the campaign's overall power curve. Pearl Abyss's combat team explained that such mounts are not designed to be simple tools that you can use whenever you want, and so all of the robot's destructive devices drain a limited fuel gauge, which, when depleted, will put the machine out of action. This means you can't just use this modern marvel of technology in perpetuity. You might be able to stroll up to a boss battle and decimate a knight with your stock of missiles. But when you are in the pilot's chair, there's no denying that things become more of a massacre than an even matchup.
I get it. It's nice, but I hope there's like a way to refuel the machine. Otherwise, I'm like, what is the right time to use this? Because I don't want to like waste it. So this like camp, I can probably take that on without the machine. So you want to maybe save it for a larger boss or something.
Pearl Abyss is happy with this power spike though. The team considers it something of a present or a reward for players who have progressed so far into the game. As you can see, there is a wide range of combat options to say the least. And that brings us back to the fighting game comparison. Something like Street Fighter is arguably the inverse of Dark Souls. As in a From Software game, the true challenge is learning everything about your enemy and then attempting to exploit that. Whereas in a fighting game, the challenge is to learn everything about your character and master their moveset. Pearl Abyss subscribes to the Street Fighter approach and explains that the goal is for Crimson Desert's difficulty to become increasingly more manageable the more you master Cliff's abilities. That's easier said than done though. Like a fighting game, there's the sense that every one of Cliff's actions has an alternate version if you combine it with the right skill. This naturally creates depth, but also complexity. Dive in without any instruction and it can feel quite overwhelming.
Oh yeah, like I said, it is super overwhelming.
In an attempt to keep things as simple as possible, Pearl Abyss has put a lot of focus on what each button does. The idea is that there's consistency in every action. If you want to introduce an element into an action, you build on your existing knowledge of the controller. Clicking the thumbsticks, for instance, fires magic spells from your palms. Click the left stick to use your left palm, click the right stick to use your right palm. And so to do a triple jump, which is powered by your magic spells, you string together an L3, R3, L3 combo, rather than tap the jump button 3 times.
Again, that's hard with press events and stuff. You get half an hour or an hour to play. And then you see a sort of like detailed controller explanation in front of you. And in this game, it's huge. So like, what the heck? And you don't want to like spend 15 minutes of the 30 minutes you have or of the hour reading that piece of paper and trying the different moves. But I really hope that, and that's gonna be super important in this game, that you start out super, super easy, basic, and then you build out these combos at a good pace, so that the moment you master one of these palm attacks or whatever, you move on to the next thing, instead of them throwing everything at you. So it will be very, very important. But yeah, I do think what a lot of open world games have these days is that they, at one point, you hit the ceiling and you kind of figured out a cool way to play, and then all the content is kind of not that hard anymore. And I do think that this game will have a ceiling that is so high that even by the end of the game, you will see people do things that you're like, what the heck, I did not even know that was possible.
At first glance, Crimson Desert certainly looks like many other open world games, and that's not an unfair comparison. As we'll explore later in this month's IGN First, there are plenty of genre staples here, from puzzle dungeons to faction quests to bounties posted on the town bulletin boards. In totality, this is not an unusual game, but zoom in on the combat and you'll find quite an unusual beast. It's built atop the classic staples. There's still dodges and parries and regular attacks, but never before have I played a medieval fantasy game where I can chain Spider-Man's swing into Batman's glide, into a ground pound that's delivered like Sonic the Hedgehog doing his best Hulk impression. In short, it's safe to say that Crimson Desert
The
is
bear,
trying
man.
something different.
So awesome.
For more from Crimson Desert, check out our exclusive gameplay video.
Yeah, we're gonna do that another time, but wow. That looks awesome. You clearly saw that they only had some B-roll from the developers, so they were not able to share everything they were talking about. But the mounts in particular sound awesome. Having the bear and being able to fight with it, like, that's crazy. That's what I want. Yes, please. Hey, Chibiya Kuma, good to see you. So yeah, for more Crimson Desert, of course, subscribe. Also check out the main channel video that you see right here with my impressions after playing. And yeah, I will speak to you soon. Goodbye. Don't forget the wolf. Oh, there's a wolf too. Blazing Flame, when do you think Insomniac will announce the Venom game? I think they will launch Wolverine first and then worry about the Venom game. This game has to be more than 100 hours. I think so too. Definitely 200 hours to do everything. 100%. And they had me at Fire Breathing Dragon. Nice. Yeah, again, it's crazy. I'm excited. Because even though it will be, and I think that's good. It has its like it's doing a lot of things differently, but it's still holding on to the open world nature that we like. So I'm down. Like what I loved about Wukong, for example, as well. If you look at that game from a structure, from a game design perspective, you've seen that before. It's not that different. But then you look at the enemies you fight, the cool unlocks you have, some of the secrets they had, and those were all really special. And that's where I think, like, for example, my biggest critique on Yote is that a lot of the things you do in that game, you could already do in Tsushima. Even some of the late game unlocks, like the charm that summons a lightning strike, you could already do that in Tsushima. A lot of the unlocks are, not as exciting. I've already done them before, like even the true aim, like the headshot and stuff like that. It's all done before, and that's with Crimson Desert. It's not a sequel. It is new. Everything you unlock in that game is gonna be new. It's gonna be exciting. This game is definitely inspired by Skyrim mods. Oh yeah, the wolf was in the state of play. You're right. So I'm curious if that one has like some. If that one has some attacks as well, would be exciting. There are probably so many different locations and secrets to find. I think so too. The Ride's Dragon frame drops, trailer immediately cuts away. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be a game they have to pull off on Series S. The bear had sold me, nice. So that's the end of the stream. I will save the next gen topic for another time. But yeah, I think it's gonna be fun to discuss that too. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you have a great rest of the week. We'll of course have some fun videos going live on this channel, on the main channel. And if you're playing Yote, enjoy. If you're playing other games, enjoy too. For me, it will really be Yote is kind of over. Waiting for updates. Can't wait for New Game Plus. Again, I have a Shadows feedback session this week, so we will have new content for that game at some point. When I hear more about it, I will let you know. And yeah, it will be nice catching up a lot of games. I want to play Borderlands 4. I want to play other games. Because September and August had a ton of like games, or like especially September, that I just did not play. I played Colossal Waji and then Yote, because those are of course huge. But later, I will be streaming Shadows of course on Thursday. Vivek, what's your opinion on Game Pass right now? It's not a deal anymore. I think if you see a game that they put out, say Fable next year, you think, okay, I'm not sure if I will like the game enough to, like, I don't mind not having access to this game next month. I will just finish everything this month and then drop it. Then having Game Pass is still solid, like $30 to play that game. That's half of the price. But yeah, to stay subscribed for and not like care about it, that doesn't make sense at all. Because yeah, there is no world. You really have to know life, like play a lot of games on Game Pass to get the 360. Is it right? To get the $360 worth it. That's a lot of money for a month. That's crazy. When is the free run podcast? We will be back on Wednesday. We already are in contact. Yeah, I heard about the Black Myth update, but I don't think it includes